Hello, dear friends. Hello. Here I am at San Mateo Public Library, and this is the parking lot. They have 2 or 3 floors of stories of parking space. It's a very spacious parking lot. And I searched online because I wanted to go to different libraries around. So I searched online and found San Mateo Public Library, such a new project. So I decided to go there, and looks quite big. So this is the entrance, and from the parking lot, I was actually already quite amazed by the size of it. And this seems a quite new one. And later on, I looked on their board. They have some information about it. Around 2006 made it. And very new, very modern, with a bike place. And this is Friends of the Library book sale. Imagine this is only a book sale place, the old book, $1 a piece, this kind of book. And it's so spacious with facility for people to search and to take a rest. And this one is quite like the new library of Santa Clara. And on the side, at the entrance, there are some meeting rooms. There are some people having a meeting there. And an art gallery of local artists. And and I was lucky enough to see an watercolor exhibition. Not many huge pieces, but seeing some artwork up close with your real eye is very inspiring. And every time when I look for search for things about painting, I search online, but there is nothing can compare with the trueness and the realness and the true inspiration, the true spirit from a real piece of painting. Just to see how the painting, how the water flows, how the color blends and melts and interwoven. There's no way you can see this much nuance from the screen. You can have very good quality, but just seeing it and feel the spirit of the artist and feel the spirit of the painting is very encouraging and inspiring. And I think artwork is something that is the sortie, the outlet of the artist, of a person's inner landscape, inner heart and soul. But when you produce a piece of art, and the piece of art lay on paper or whichever kind of media, when the art piece was born, the art has its own life, and the art has its own right. It has a life of its own right. Do I make sense? So some still life and things. It's just very interesting to see. And especially recently I am doing watercolor, get quite fascinated by watercolor and seeing the artwork, how it works. It's very interesting. And I think watercolor, comparing with other media, every art form has a special character and something very special about its particular media. And acrylic, you can layer on, you can correct, you can cover up. You do not need to be afraid of anything wrong, cover it up. And it has a lot of freedom. And watercolor is such a delicate and interesting thing. It is very free, but watercolor has a lot of its own character. And you have to really play with the paper, with water. And it's watercolor painting is very much like a tango or a dance or a social dance or waltz. The two persons dance together. One is leading, one is following. It's a play that, however, the leading part make a push, make a force, the follower will go with the idea of the leading idea. And the follower sometimes can make his or her own intuitive movements. And it's really such an interesting thing that the two of them play together, mingle together, and this is the beauty of watercolor. I find it very interesting. I'm very fascinated by it. So here I come to the entrance of the library, just quite fascinated by the size of the library. And it's so huge and very, very tall. And I think they are doing a very good design to make it so spacious and to make it just so luxury with so much space and so much room and empathy and fresh air. And San Francisco Bay Area, San Mateo, with great big companies competing for, this is slow motion. Gosh, what is going on? Something is wrong. Okay. I might delete this one. Let me stop it here. Okay, let's continue. Some problem in the middle. Anyway, so Then I went to come to the entrance, and it's so spacious and just amazing to see this place. So huge and so tall, San Francisco Bay Area. And this is so expensive, this area, with huge companies, big companies, competing to build headquarters, and the real estate is very expensive, but they make it so much room and so much not putting things just to get fresh air. Imagine the luxury of it.
Yes.
For every ordinary person who has the will to learn something, to go to a place, to go to books, to learn, to discover, to improve our life. So I find it's really interesting, and this is also the reason why I go to libraries. So see, here are students' work from different schools. It is such a people's place, a human place, and and society has to have more of this public wellness. And I find this picture is very funny. And I saw two ladies walk inside, and this is the staff workroom, administrations, and children's book staff. And it's such a funny and interesting cartoon drawing. So I remember last year, oh yeah, exactly 1 year ago. Last year I went to New York for art teachers conference, and visited New York Public Library, and it was like palace, and I was so touched to see something just fascinating and beautiful. It's like a museum, and a big marble floor, and a tall ceiling, and beautiful furniture, and very well designed Art Nouveau design, Art Deco design, and magnificent, just magnificent. And people like you and I just walk there and study there. It does not matter if you have a job, if you can afford. You are homeless, you have a home, you have a roof on top of you, on top of your head, you have food to eat, or you don't have anything, you can go there. It is for the people. And the founding person, the person who donated or who decided about this public library, New York Public Library, the most magnificent public library, they decide this place is for people, for anybody. It is open to anybody and everybody. And this motto is encarved on one of the marble in the museum in New York Public Library. So I saw it and I was very touched at that time. That was 1 year ago. And so my relation with public library is quite a long and interesting relationship. So I started, okay, let me move my camera so that I can see where I am talking about and how many minutes still left. There are 12 minutes still left, so I will keep on blah blah blah. So okay, I started using public library when I participated college entrance examination. Now my son use public library, use city library, school library, same as it is the same thing. High school students use public library, and because it has more books, and when we were young, we have this jumping heart, pumping heart, and very, very easily distracted and passionate heart. So we need to calm down and go to a quiet place, to go to a place that let us be inspired to learn and to focus ourselves. So I went to Beijing's Beijing 图书馆. Beijing 图书馆 was in Beihai, Beihai Houhai, near Beihai Houhai. Anyway, so I went to Beijing Public Library, and I was 17 years old, or 16, 17, or 18 years old, and it was winter. We prepare a college entrance examination. Sometimes the library is full. There was no single day that I could enter the library, just walk in, because you have to wait. You have to wait to get a ticket, and then after this ticket, wait 1 or 2 hours to enter. Once there is one person get out, one person get chance to enter, because the library is at full capacity. So I waited every day. I wait 1 or 2 hours outside the library. Of course, while waiting, I read some books or something. Anyway, enter the library, already getting so tired or hungry or cold, and sometimes I fell asleep inside the library, because in Beijing, same as New York or the East Coast, Toronto, or any place that is cold, the continental weather, it was very, very cold in winter time. Outside was very cold, and inside there was heating, the old China style heating, and it was very hot, and I was sweating, or I was my face was all red with heat, and like a pig, and just so interesting. Okay, I am a little bit away from the topic. So what we are seeing on screen right now is the adopted sons of San Mateo. They were in Vietnam War, and this is one of the memory of the local history, local heritage. So, okay, back to my story. Went to a library in Beijing, and it was so cold. And I finished at 10 o'clock. I think library closed at 9 or 10 o'clock, and it was very far away from my home. I have to take public transportation, bus number 101, 103, 103, 101, go back home, and have to wait for bus in the middle of the night, and nobody was walking. I remember there were days it was snowing. I walk on the snow and see my footprint to make the tractor's tire sign or something. And sometimes it was so cold that my hand was freezing. And slowly I learned one thing. When my hand was cold, there was one thing I can do, that is to put my hand in something even colder. That is that I grab some snow and rub on my hand, and then immediately I felt that my hand was so hot. It's like a burning hot, and it hurts. It hot that it hurts, and because the snow is so cold. after that, I felt my hand is so swollen and so pain. Anyway, that was the experience of myself with China's library, my first experience. Et après, and then I came to America many years ago, 20 years ago. I arrived America. And, oh no, before I came to America, I went to Paris, in France, in Paris. So in Paris, my place, the place I lived was very close to Centre Pompidou, a library, a public library. So I went to Centre Pompidou almost every day, see exhibition, do homework, and just have fun. It's better than stay inside a teeny tiny small apartment. And I enjoyed it very, very, very much. Okay, now we come to the outside of the library. There is a stone sculpture, and I saw the water running, and I felt it's so interesting. Why not me do some slow motion? So this is the slow motion of flow of water running. It's kind of interesting, right? So good to go to library. It's very inspirational, and you feel good. You feel safe. You feel that you are doing something good, doing something right, and doing something that you do not regret. You spend some time in the library, browsing some book, and just have fun looking around, and go to the coffee shop. I went to the coffee shop, had a cup of coffee, and sitting there and let your thought, your mind wandering around, and focus or not focus. It is so good. So the San Mateo Library, later I searched online, and a little bit I found that the library was started in, this new library was started in 2006, and the residents of the city residents approved a $30 million bond and made this library possible. And the design has got numerous reward because it's so bright, so spacious, abundant, and just ample, bright sunshine and light make this place so comfortable and so enjoyable. And the design was actually originally modeled from a retail bookstore, and so they improved a little bit and had even better technology improvement. Anyway, the whole experience is very, very uplifting, and knowing that there is such a good thing in this world for us to enjoy, for us to appreciate, for us to contemplate upon is just a very rewarding feeling, and we are grateful that there are libraries in this world. And I think I had such a habit. Each city I visit, I try to make an effort to visit the library. For example, I visited the other time I went to Montreal. I visited McGill Library and another library, and Montreal, and the Center Library, and Chicago. No, not Chicago. Seattle Library, beautiful library on top of a very high place. Okay, this is ending, and I wish you happy every day. I love you. I really do. Bye bye.